there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. The Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Hi, this is Dino Cazares from the group Fear Factory, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour, bringing you the best in metal.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. The Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome guitarist Dino Cazares of the mighty Fear Factory. Industrial tinged extreme metal pioneers, Fear Factory will release their 10th studio album, Aggression Continuum, on June 18th via Nuclear Blast, just in time for the band's 30th anniversary. 30 years this band has been around. That's crazy to believe. Also, check out Fear Factory singles Disruptor and new single Fuel Injected Suicide Machine. I think that comes out today. Is that correct, Dino?
Yep.
So you want to get out and check that out, folks. So, Dino, welcome to the show. I mean, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome you back on here. So, how you doing?
Thank you very much for having me on here. I appreciate it. I'm doing well.
How excited are you to possibly get back out on the road and do some shows since things are opening up now?
Yeah, I can't wait for that. We're pretty much scheduled for next year, so we'll be out there next year. We wanted to give it some time, for the world to be open, for us to get back out there and be able to hopefully go to your town, your city, your country, and be out there playing.
Folks, I remember watching Grass Pop a couple years ago, and Fear Factory was playing, and they knocked the frickin' power out. And I'll never forget that. So,
were you there? Were you actually in Grass Pop?
No, they streamed it live, and you could watch it on TV. And I was watching it here in the States.
Wow.
And I was like, holy hell, they knocked the freaking power out.
Not the first time we've done that.
So this album has been in the making since 2016. How good does it feel to finally have the 10th album coming out and to move forward with Fear Factory?
Oh, man, it totally feels very liberating because, obviously, most people know we went through a lot of struggles to get this record out. It's been years.
Mm-hmm.
It's been almost 6 years since we put out the last record, which was in 2015. So, yeah, we started writing late 2016 and recorded the record in 2017 because of legal issues with the trademark name. We couldn't use the name for a few years there. So finally, we were able to regain the trademark back in 2020. So we were able to finish this record and finally get it out. Thank God.
So do you have anything new for Fear Factory? I know this is a long time coming for this album, but I know you guys are constantly doing stuff. But are there anything in the process right now on newer stuff coming out possibly, or just taking day by day with this?
Well, the main focus is to get this record out.
Sure.
A lot of people haven't heard this record yet. So definitely want to get this record out, and then after that, we could talk about new Fear Factory and new things happening.
Writing songs comes easy for the band. However, when it comes to being in the recording studio and recording the album, it's been turbulent at some times. Plus, these are your best albums when this happens. Would you be a little concerned if that didn't happen, though?
Well, it didn't happen during Obsolete, and that's a great record.
Sure.
And DJ Mortal, it didn't happen there either. So, yeah, but it just seems to be that some of these records that we create seems to be a lot of issues. Demanufacture was almost doomed from the start. When we went in to record that record, we went to a studio called Chicago Tracks, and we recorded about 7 songs. Then the computer crashed and erased everything.
Oh, wow.
So we had to leave that studio and go to another one. And then, it's just a lot of stress and pressure sometimes when we're making a record, and that's just what causes a lot of the tension. And, people have different opinions on how they want to make these records. We fired many of mixers and many of producers. because, we realized that we didn't get along with them, or maybe I didn't see eye to eye with the guy, especially on Demanufacture. We had to fire the producer, and we had to hire somebody else to mix the record, which was a very hard record to make, just because of everything that we went through.
I know you've said on these songs for a very long time, since 2016, but were there any songs, Dino, that did not make this album that we could see on an EP or another album, or just a one-off down the road possibly, or no, just start all over fresh?
Yeah, there was about 4 or 5 songs that didn't make it on this record. Musically, there was no vocals on it. So, yeah, I could definitely use those songs again in the future. Obviously maybe make some changes on them, but yeah, there's been a lot of leftover stuff, on this record that I could use again later on.
As a band, were you a little nervous releasing this album right now, since bands can't tour, do anything right now since COVID, but were you guys just wanting to just get this out and just say, hey, look, let's move forward and get this on out here?
Well, we kind of held off as long as we could,
Mm-hmm.
So, but, now that things are kind of slowly opening up, so I think it's going to be a lot cooler that we're going to be able to promote this record. Because we were definitely concerned about putting it out too early. If I would have put it out, 3-4 months ago, then we'd still be sitting here. But, now that it's going to be released in June, you give it a few months, maybe do a couple of live streams, and then we get out there on tour. So there's still other ways to work this record, besides touring.
What's impressed or excited you the most about making this album, if anything, man? What sticks out the most for you about it?
Regaining control and being able to go back into the studio and redo some things, especially the drums. Their first initial recording had programmed drums, but I felt it was better to put a live drummer on there, which definitely added more energy to the songs. And getting Andy Sneap to mix the record, those are probably the 2 things that got me really excited coming back to improve this record.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on the album? I know it must change every time you listen to it, and I know these are your babies, Dino. But are there any that stick out for you possibly, man?
Definitely Feel Injected Suicide Machine was one of the songs that, I really like on the record. Recode, which is the first song on the record. The title track, Aggression Continuum. I mean, they're all my babies, but, if I have to pick one of my favorite right now, it would probably have to be Aggression Continuum, which is the title track.
What I like about the track that's out right now for Fear Factory is it's Fear Factory. You know what I mean? It's a constant sound with you guys. I know you guys add stuff in and out, but it's still a Fear Factory through and through album and song. So that's what I like about when you listen to your music. It changes, but when you pop that in, it's Fear Factory. Yeah,
I think one of the most distinguishable things is probably when it comes to the music, it's probably the guitars and the kick drums are all syncopated. And then, of course, you have the melodic vocals and the heavy vocals that definitely add a beautiful contrast between the two. We definitely do have our signature elements on this record, for sure, in every record. But I think that, part of our success was that we were able to develop our own distinguishable sound that people can say, hey, that's a Fear Factory riff, or that's a Fear Factory song.
And there's a balance in these albums and these songs, too, that I think that's overlooked. And kudos to you guys for keeping that balance as well, man, because some bands just go way off, and that's cool, but sometimes the balance is better. You know what I mean? The simplest is better. Yes,
for sure. We do have a balance of different types of songs on all of our records. We usually have, like, the big melodic hooky songs, and then we have the fucking ripping songs, we definitely do try to balance it, and it's very important that when you're putting together a record like that you can kind of balance all those different elements that you're trying to put into the music.
Was there a song that you guys were working on that totally ended up sounding different than it intended to when you brought it to the table?
Yeah, yes and no. Definitely, when you're recording these songs and you're in the middle of a production, you always try to improve on the song. So in that way, yes. But in some ways, in your head, you're like, okay, this is how I envision the song. And sometimes you just got to execute it and make it sound exactly what you have in your head. And that's, once you get that sound and you know the song's done, you're happy. You got to get it out, and hopefully people like it.
The album was produced and engineered by Damien Reynard, and I hope I pronounced his last name correctly, who's worked with Dragon Force and Once Human. And also, like you said, it was mixed by Andy Sneap. How was working with these guys on this album to bring it to life?
For me, it's like the dream team, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Damien Reynard, who's a producer, engineer, mixer. He's done everything. He masters records, blah, blah, blah. He's worked with some big name artists. And he's worked with us since The Industrialist, since like 2011. So he's been working with us in some capacity or another for a long time. But I wanted to give him control of this record as a producer, and he did a great job. Of course, Andy Sneap is a A-list mixer, and you can't go wrong if you're taking your record to Andy Sneap to mix.
Is there anything that you would like to do eventually down the road with Fear Factory to bring into the music that you've not done yet, possibly? Go outside that box more, maybe? Is there anything you would like to incorporate?
I can't tell you that right now. There's nothing that's really popping into my head. The main thing for me is just to write killer songs. You know, sure, we've blended other elements of music into our stuff, but I'm really glad to keep, you know, some of that, you know, hip hop element out of the music. You know, it's that's one thing I don't want to bring back into the music. I can't really say exactly what I want to incorporate into the new record yet at all.
Okay.
Yet.
That's fine.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm not going to say, I want to bring some mariachi into our music. You know, it's like, no, I can't say that.
The artwork for the album was created by Francesco
Artusato.
Yeah, Francisco Artusato. Thank you. How was working with him on this?
Oh, he's great. You know, he's been a friend of mine for I don't know, maybe 10 plus years. He's also an amazing guitar player. He plays in a band called Light the Torch with Howard Jones. But yeah, he creates this artwork. He's got a great website. I believe it's francescoartuzatoart.com. So you might want to go check that out. He's got a bunch of he works with 3D imaging, so that's really cool. I like it. You know, this record needed that kind of a high-tech kind of album cover, and he nailed it.
It's kind of like a Terminator type deal if you think about like Future's way above, you know what I'm saying? Like way on out there. So I like the artwork on this too.
Yeah, I mean, he nailed it when he got it. It's exactly what I wanted him to do, and boom, he nailed it.
What do you hope everyone takes away, or a message you hope they hear while listening to this album or just any of Fear Factory's music in general, Dino? What do you hope they get from it?
I'm hoping that people will have an open mind and listen to this music, and you know, I'm hoping that we can influence people to go pick up an instrument or, you know, become a singer. I hope lyrically that people can relate to it. And I hear that all the time, that, you know, the lyrics or the music has gotten them through hard times. And I like that. And I feel that's part of being successful as well, too, is that you're able to put a smile or change people's, attitude or vibe about them, because, you know, maybe they're going through a depressing time, and, you know, the music makes them happy and gets them out of that, gets them out of that feeling.
It's like I've always said, you know, even I went through that. Music can speak for you. It could be your voice. It could, you know, say everything that you need to say or do anything that you need to do within that album. And it could just let you escape and get away for a while.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it just changes people in general. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Sometimes I like it when they'll be like, yeah, man, when I heard that record, I was in high school, we were partying, and every time I hear that record, it brings back a good memory, I like that.
And lots of times, too, man, your guys' music helps people to fit in who don't feel like they belong. A lot of music does that, and I think that is so cool for what you guys do, so kudos, man.
Yeah, our music has definitely brought people together, whether they were just friendships or relationships. We've had many people propose to their wives, on stage. it's really cool that our music can bring people together.
Do you see the band still musically growing from the debut album? I mean, is that drive still there, the want and the hunger for it?
100%. I feel that, I haven't forgotten where I came from, where I started, the things that influenced me, the things that I've created along the way. I never lost that drive, not once. And I'm happy that, after 30 years that I can still have that feeling and still continue forward.
That was going to be my next question about the 30th anniversary coming up for Fear Factory. Does it still blow your mind, man, that you guys are still here, that you guys are still putting out albums? Because just as well as I do, some bands don't even get past an EP or an album. So how does it feel to still be here in this?
Well, obviously it feels great, but in my mind, I've always felt that this is what I chose to do. This is me. This is my life. Ever since I was 9 years old, I knew what I wanted to do. And I'm glad that I am professionally able to do it and actually make a living from it. So, thanks to all the fans that supported us over the years and people who've come out to shows and rocked out with us, partied with us, hung out with us. I appreciate everybody that's been able to keep me going with this stuff. You know what I mean? Especially during this record, we started a GoFundMe campaign that was very successful. And I appreciate all the fans that donated.
Now, I know you guys have a lot of songs in the Fear Factory catalog, but is there any songs that you would like to incorporate into the live set that may not have ever been played before, possibly?
Oh, that's a hard question. Yes. There's one song that we didn't play very much that is probably our biggest song. Is a song called Linchpin. Now, it's the most streamed. It's the most downloaded, and it's probably the most difficult for our vocalist to sing. So we don't play that song very much, and that's the song I would love to incorporate on every set list.
I've got to ask this because I'm a gamer. 2000 Fear Factory had a video game canceled. Is that correct, man? If so, when are we going to see this out eventually, maybe on another platform?
We discussed a video game, and we had some images and things like that, but it never really, the whole idea was going to be way too expensive.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. I don't know if we'll be able to do it or not, because the game we would want to make would be millions of dollars, and it'd have to be a big game.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, I know you had a lot of albums and a lot of music growing up, Dino, but did you just have that one go-to album that you had to have, like listen to every other week possibly, and that just, gave you inspiration yourself or just let you escape for a while, man? If so, what was it possibly?
Well, when I was a kid, it was AC/DC. It was like, Highway to Hell and Black and Black. Those were my go-to records all the time. It obviously progresses from there. But, I still love the classics. I would think, Slayer, Rain and Blood, that came out in 1986. That was like one of my favorite records. Exodus, Bonded by Blood, that came out in like 1984 or 85, I think it was. And that record still, I still listen to that record all the time. The riffs are classic, legendary riffs from Gary Holt. Love that record a lot. So those are like my go-to records.
Folks, you want to get out and pick up Fear Factory's 10th album that's getting ready to release, entitled Aggression Continuum, on June 18th via Nuclear Blast. That's in time exactly for the band's 30th anniversary. And also check out their singles, Disruptor, and new single that comes out today, Fuel Injected Suicide Machine. So, Dino, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, this album, tour dates, all that good stuff, or just to say hello? How can they do that possibly?
Well, if you want to just say hello, just go to any of my social medias, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Just send me a message. I usually respond to nice messages. But if you want to purchase anything for Fear Factory, or if you want to just know anything about the band, go to fearfactory.com. There you can get vinyls, CDs, cassettes, merchandise, tour dates, biographies, and you can see all our social medias on there as well, too. So go to fearfactory.com for everything.
Dino, before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Sure. Hi, this is Dino Cazares from the group Fear Factory, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour, bringing you the best in metal.
everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Hour Podcast. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link, and you want to subscribe to the YouTube link because we got a lot of stuff coming up. Please check out Fear Factory. Pick up their 10th album entitled Aggression Continuum on June 18th via Nuclear Blast. This is the band's 30th anniversary, also coming up as I mentioned before. And check out their singles. You will not be disappointed. Do not sleep on Fear Factory. Give these guys a fair shot because they definitely deserve it. So, Dino, thank you, brother. And as always, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you giving me the time to be on your radio show.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.